it's that new lane. And maybe it's that new lane. Time goes by and the memories remain. Take a trip down this one-way road. Time goes by and the memories remain. And you know we got a long way to go. It's that new lane. It's that new lane. It's that new lane. Oh. Maybe for you, but not for two. Alright, tonight I might get it in. I like to write to forget where I've been. Insight for life despite the hard times. Pain ignite the flame that burn deep in my mind. Cause I want the good life, the lights, the flights, it's all mine. Hold it down, locked in one day at a time. Stay on my grind, ain't no maybes, I'ma make it this time. Everything got a purpose, now I don't play with my time. We out here chasing the dream, life move quick, can't think twice. Peace, love, hope, seems so nice. Embracing the moment, I know it can change, but that's just life. Look at it go, just as quick as it came. Yo, give me the mic, speaking that I'm insane. Yo, speaking of that, I split the speak.
Welcome back to Life After the Party podcast. Today's special guest is Skyler Ray. Skyler Ray was born November 28th, 1990 in San Jose, California. Growing up, fostered homes and was homeless for multiple years, from getting locked up to sleeping on the sidewalks downtown Portland, Oregon. His music is primarily based on his experiences with his life, whether that be addiction, incarceration, homelessness, etc. He is a firm believer in spreading hope. Being released from prison November 30th, 2018, he is refocused on his music and without stopping at nothing to get his music out to the masses. Skyler Ray still lives in Portland and remains clean and sober.
Let's go. Let's go.
So welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's an honor to be on here.
It's an honor to have you.
Hey.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. We finally did it, man. All this computer technology and all that, we finally figured out how to do it.
But it was good because it was like a pre-interview and we got to know each other. And so,
that is true. That is true.
That's kind of how we do this too. It's like a place for friends. So we're friends now. That's just how
family.
Yes.
I agree. It's always nice, you get a chance to vibe a little bit, figure things out when you work through the problems, right? So it's always a good learning lesson. Also, it's good experience. So it's a new platform, like you said, you figuring everything out. So, but we got it and we are here. So thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely.
That's right.
We're finally here.
And you got your coffee.
Oh yeah.
And your vape and your water. So everything is good.
Right.
Yes, indeed. Be in the game. Put me in.
What's her name again?
Pound cake.
Pound cake. Hey, you got coffee and pound cake. Mm-hmm. There's no better combo. You know what I mean?
Hey, guilty as charged. Uh-huh.
So, Mr. Skyler, let's dive in here a little bit. Give us a little bit about yourself. From the beginning to where you are now.
Absolutely. And, I'll hit some of the key points as we go through. I was born in San Jose, older brother, mom and dad. Everybody got a mom and dad. I got one too. So check it out. So at around the age of 9, they started not really getting along much. So my mom and dad split. She packed me and my brother up. We go into some shelters. And I remember we landed at one shelter and it was a lot. Me and my brother, if anybody's watching, if they have kids, they understand the dynamic. I was the littler brother, right? So I would go start stuff with my older brother. He'd put me in my place. I would go cry and tell. And then, it would cause a scene. So, like, me and my brother were a lot just like most siblings are. And it was a lot for my mom because she deals with, like, mental health and things like that, right? And so one day we were at the shelter and I was throwing a fit. I was being picky. I didn't want to eat what they were serving. They had the people stay in there cook, or the homeless would come in and volunteer and cook. And at the time I was very judgmental. You got to imagine I was a 9-year-old kid. I was like, I'm not eating no food served by him. I want something different. Right. So my mom said she was going to go to the store and come back and get us some food. She never came back. After a few years, or not after a few years, a few hours, one of the staff members at the shelter called CPS, Child Protective Services, and me and my brother got separated. Police came, picked us up, put us in different homes, and that's kind of where my journey begins, right? And so from there, I developed abandonment issues, the need and desire to feel loved, accepted, and feel like I fit in, caused me to act out a lot, especially in school. I was that class clown that would crack jokes for attention. And as soon as I saw people smile or laugh, I felt like I was part of their crew. I felt like I was accepted. I was like, I'm winning them over. This feels good. But the only downside of that is I didn't know how to read the room, so I quickly became annoying. It's like that class clown who nails a couple good jokes and he's funny, but then afterwards you're like, man, he needs to shut up, right? Well, that was, I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this, or maybe even you guys could relate being that class clown.
I can relate. I mean, but I could read a room. I was always good at reading a room, but I mean, it's all like I joke a lot, and sometimes, like my wife will even say, like, okay, enough. But anyway,
my lady always says that. She's like, she pats me on the shoulder. She's like, he's so funny, and I'm like, all right, it's time for me to calm down because I get it with your family right now during Thanksgiving.
You know what? I'll follow up and say this. I'll say, you think it's funny now? I'm like, she's been with me for a very long time. It gets old.
She gets to hear me running through my jokes and practicing them, and then I only bring out the good ones that hit with you guys. But she's
like the small clubs, and you all are the Netflix special, right?
She's seen me try the jokes out for the Netflix special towards everybody I meet. You know what I'm saying? So she heard this joke 50 times. I mean, it still hits with everybody else, but for her, it's like, all right. So that caused me a lot of stuff. I also felt like I needed to be the strongest, the kid that was down to do anything, the one that wouldn't listen to authority, right? Because I thought that's what the peers wanted. And that's kind of who I gravitated to, was kind of like the troublemakers. And I quickly found myself becoming one. I got kicked out of multiple schools. I think I went to like 3 different middle schools. I went to like 5 or 6 different high schools. Ended up in alternative schools, always getting into fights. You know what I'm saying? Because if someone told me I was annoying, my feelings got hurt. Now it's like, well, shut up. All right, let's go handle it. You know what I'm saying? So that was me, especially me being littler. I'm only 5'5" as a grown adult. So as a kid growing up, I had a lot to prove. You know what I'm saying? I didn't care if you were bigger. Like, if you giving me lip, like, let's handle this. Let's prove it.
Right.
Huh?
No, you're. That's how I am. I'm 5'9", so I'm not much taller.
You got to prove yourself, and so I thought that was winning over my peers. I've done music since 11 years old. Always wanted to do music since 9 years old. When I first heard Eminem, this was year 2000. I was a year late. 1999 was Slim Shady LP. 2000 was the Marshall Mathers LP. But when I heard the Marshall Mathers LP, the first time hearing Eminem, I have never heard anything like that. Not only was I impressed by the structure of the way he puts the music together, but also the anger and the emotions that he provoked through his lyrics. I knew from that moment on, I wanted to make music. I knew that this is what I wanted to do because I wanted to be able to make people feel the way that I felt with them. Or when I listened to his music, quickly became obsessed with it. That's all I heard. Then I dove into Slim Shady's LP. I was hooked, all that stuff like that. But yeah, even at like 13, 14 years old, performing, getting snuck in the side of the clubs of Portland, Oregon, down at the Copper Penny, Froggers, all this stuff like that. I was drinking and smoking in the parking lot. I had an older brother, so he was 4 years older. So when he started using stuff, that's what I did. So if he started smoking weed, I started smoking weed because
I have a question real quick. Just because you said your older brother, there's a gap there. Mm-hmm. So you guys got separated, but you got back together?
We did a few foster homes. Yes. There was one foster home. We ended up, the first one I went to was like a temporary home. I was there for like maybe 2-3 months, maybe 4 months. But then I got placed in this home he was at, and we lived there for about a year. And so, that's kind of where and what's put me at about like 6th grade, where I started no, 5th grade, because I started drinking and smoking back then. I remember smoking on the playground in 5th grade in the little elementary tunnel, right? Crazy stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so but anyways, high school, I got kicked out of a lot of schools because of my abandonment issues and the need to feel loved and accepted. At 18, I found myself homeless. I found myself homeless. I was downtown Portland, Oregon. And that's where really a lot of my story takes place. All my arrest, all my addiction, everything like that, right? And I went down there, and I remember when I first went down there, I tried a lot of drugs at that age of 18. I've tried the mushrooms, all the visual stuff. I've tried meth. I've tried everything, the mollies, the ecstasies, all that stuff. Well, actually, I don't even know if Molly was around back then, but ecstasy, right? And so, but when I went down there, my drugs of choice was alcohol and weed. And so when I went down there, it's crazy because you have all your different groups, just like friendships. You have your drinkers, you have your weed smokers, you have your nodders, you have your tweakers. And when I was down there, I remember I was just surprised and kind of in culture shock that it was like a lawless society. The fact that there was no rules and every night was a party. You got to imagine what that does to an 18-year-old. No bills, no responsibilities. There's so many kids my age. And I remember we used to hang out at a place called New Avenues for Youth. We'd be like 40, 50 deep out there. And we'd be like anywhere from like 18 to 24 would be out there all night, sleeping on sidewalks, sleeping in the doorways, getting high. We used to go tear up like the local Safeway down the street. Actually, it's probably like 10 blocks, but we would tear it up, right? And we'd rotate between Safeways. We'd go in there like 10 minutes before they closed because they would have the least amount of staff members or workers. And we would go in there like 20, 30 deep, and we would just go straight to the beer aisle, double fist what you can, and walk out. Like, who's going to stop 20, 30 kids, right? And no one did. And that's the way we used to go back to the doorways and just drink all night and smoke. And I really became obsessed with the lifestyle. Like I said, it was like an endless party. There was no responsible adults to tell us we should or shouldn't do this. This is just what everybody was doing. And it became a new way of life. I believe that was like one of my first addictions was the lifestyle itself. Right. And so I remember, one day somebody was like, you want to do some dope. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, you want to do some meth? And I was like, yeah, I'll do some meth. I've tried it before. I actually really like meth. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, we're not about to get high on this, like right here, right? At that point, I had standards. I was like, I'm not about to smoke some meth on the sidewalks outside of public. Fast forward not too much longer, I'm shooting dope on the sidewalk. So, but at first, I remember there was like 8 of us, and we went out to this abandoned house off of MLK and Lombard, downtown Portland, Oregon, or in Northeast Portland, Oregon. And we went in there and we were getting high, and it's crazy what they say about statistics. Because they say like there's a certain percentage after they use hard drugs that are going to go out there and try to find that high to emulate it again, right? Or try to find that product. And afterwards, there was about 3 or 4 of us who wanted to continue to go out there and do some meth. And so that quickly became my drug of choice. Once I started doing meth at that time in my life, like I didn't drink anymore. I didn't smoke. I remember taking a hit of weed and I was like, nah, I'm good. And didn't smoke again until I like tried it again at 25, But with that being said, that's like 7 years without it just because that's how much hooked I was. And I remember someone approached me one day and they're like, hey, would you like to sell some dope? And I thought to myself, this actually sounds like a really good idea. Because for one, money, but for one, I can get high on my own supply. I don't have to beg. I don't have to mooch. I don't have to steal. I don't have to figure it out, right? I got the dope. Second of all, my circles have changed by now. I'm no longer hanging out with stoners. I'm no longer hanging out with drinkers. Like everybody's tweaking and geeking and rolling around on a stolen bicycle. Like that is my circle now. You know what I'm saying? Right. So not only can I get high on my supply, but second of all, everybody around me is a customer. So I was like, this makes sense. Yes, I would like to sell some dope, right? And so I found myself quickly, like, because you're homeless, something simple as getting arrested for trespassing And then now you're on probation. Well, now the cops have every single reason to search you anytime they run into you, because if not, it's a probation violation, right? And so, like, I quickly racked up arrests, man. I really became fueled by the drugs. Not only, smoking turned into shooting dope, which absolutely love that. But on top of that, like, the love that I felt when I sold drugs, this all stems back to my abandonment issues. Right? Love
because they needed you.
They needed me. I knew the love was fake, but I was the most important person on the block. I was popular. I pull up, everybody was being nice to me. All the girls were flirting with me. All the guys wanted to be my best friend. People are trying to trade me their buddy's stolen headphones. They just got out their backpack while he went to the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? I got about 10 EBT cards, 6 laptops, 4 cell phones. I got about 3 bikes, and it's only 2 a.m. It's about to be a good night, right? But I became obsessed with that, the power that I felt. Even though I knew the love was fake, I finally felt like I was on top, and I felt like I was Scarface. And, that all stems back.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, exactly. But that.
And you felt like Scarface. So keep going. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I felt like Scarface. I knew the love was fake, but it still felt good. And, I felt important. And at that point, like, I felt the need to try to look good. I was buying cars that would match my backpacks, that would match my shoes, and all these different outfits. And I wasn't really truly being myself, right? But that's all like mental health and everything like that caused me down this road. These issues that I've never really been able to assist or be able to evaluate, And so this really caused me a lot of problems in my life, and you will hear it farther along my story. First, those abandonment issues caused me to get in fights, get me kicked out of school, on the streets. It caused me to want to be the biggest dope dealer that I can be because people love me and accepted me. Man, I was getting locked up so many times. I've probably been arrested about 20 times. There's a street in Portland called Burnside. You guys might remember it from the Tony Hawk games, the Burnside skate park.
I played a little bit, yeah.
There's a street talking about. It runs all through Portland, and about 20 of my arrests take place downtown within like a 5-block radius from Burnside. Either 2 blocks this way, you got the Skidmore Fountain, the Burnside Bridge, you got the Red Doors, you got Roseland Theater, you got Elephant Park. New Avenues from Youth was about 2 blocks away. You also had a place called Paranoia Park. And it was actually officially named O'Brien Square, but we called it Paranoia Park for the simple fact that there was a lot of homeless people there, right? They had homeless feeds. And so every Sunday, they had the best French toast in the world. I promise you it's not because I was like 128 pounds and haven't eaten for 3 days. This French toast was smacking. On top of that, you had your grits, you had your potatoes, hash browns. Like, it was incredible. So a lot of the homeless always hung out there. But also because it was a hot zone for drugs, because no matter what you wanted, no matter what you needed, if you were selling, if you were buying, that was the place to be. Especially during the day, right? Everybody would migrate underneath the bridge in Skidmore Fountain once it turned 10 because it was illegal to be in the park after hours. But we would be at this park that we called Paranoia Square, or Paranoia Park. And the reason for that is because like people are sitting on the benches shooting dope. Everybody's selling drugs. But the crazy thing about it is if you're sitting at the top of this park, literally here's the park, here's the street, right? And then on the sidewalk across the street is a police station. So there would always be cops pulling up, pulling out. They would sit there, have their lunch. They're doing their paperwork. They're going in and out. Literally a cop's like 50 feet away and someone's just shooting dope up there. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are keeping jigs.
That's you were all paranoid that you're going to get busted.
Yes, and that's why we called it Paranoia Park. You get that call from an unknown number, a number you don't recognize because homeboy's calling you from a payphone 6 blocks over. They're like, hey, you got some dope? You're all looking up and seeing if anybody's peeking out the blind. I'm like, nah, bro, all I got is jelly beans and raffle tickets. You know what I'm saying? And then you scope the area out before you head over there. But it's like, we were so paranoid. And I remember I would get arrested so many times. I remember I did like a 6-month stint, 6 months jail sentence, got out for 3 days. This is real numbers. So did 6 months, got out for 3 days, got locked up, did 9 months, got out for 6 days, went back and did another 9 months. And I would literally last as long as it took for the warrant to go out. That's how much drugs had a hold of me. I was only upset I kept getting caught. I didn't like all my dreams went out the window besides music. Like I didn't care if I had a family. Like I didn't want a big thing. Definitely didn't want a job or anything like that. Right. That's how strong the drugs were. And so I'm in and out, man. And it's crazy because there was times when I would be locked up. I would tell myself, when I get out, I'm going to do something different. When I get out, I'm gonna get that job. I never had a job, but I'm going to figure it out. When I get out, I'm going to go see my auntie, my sister, my mom, whatever, dad, whoever, right? Family members, right? And so we could probably pass a lie detector test when we're saying this stuff in there because this is something that we want to do. We want to get our life together. But the moment we get released and those doors close behind us and we are a free person, right? All that goes out the window. And that is
well, because in desperation, in desperation, you like it's biblical. Like, God, if you just let me live this one time, let me do this one time, and I'll give my life to you. But then you're like, wait a second, I made it, so let's just go on to the next. I know what you're saying.
I can do this right this time and not get hooked just one more time.
And I remember there was a few times going through the thought process in my head, and we have the downtown jail. We have like 3 different jails in Portland. Well, 2 now. 2 different jails in Portland, and no matter if you were at Inverness, they always transferred you downtown to Justice Center because that's where they do all the booking and releasing, right? And so when you're downtown, you get released. Mind you, this is like 10 blocks from Burnside, if even that. But they have a building on 5th and or it's on 6th. It's called the Mead Building. It's a probation and parole office. And so when you get released from jail, you sign a paper, you say you have 24 hours to check in with your probation officer. And it's crazy because I was in there saying I'm going to make a difference. But as soon as I get released, I would get high before I made it the 4 or 5 blocks down the street to check in. So I never even checked in. I was even like the smart addict that's like, let me check in. Then at least I have a week or 2 to get high before I have to check in again. You know, it was like, and that's why I would get arrested so much. Because I wouldn't check in, and so they didn't see me by the end of the day. They'd send the warrant out. Well, where do you think Skyler is? Well, he's at the same park we arrested him 5-6 times that he's always at.
Exactly.
And all the police know the homeless people, so they would pull up, and they're like, oh, there goes Jim. Oh, there's Mike. Oh, Skyler's here. They all got warrants. Let's go up there. And they'd roll up like 4 or 5 deep. All right, they'd call our name, stand up, put your hands behind your back. You know what I'm saying? They were only there for the people that had warrants, you know?
Exactly. And you don't think about switching it up to go somewhere else.
No.
You know,
because
that's your hope.
We're creatures of habit. Why would we go outside our zone where we don't know or the unexplored area?
Exactly.
I know where to sell dope. I know where to make money. I know where all the good spots are to shoot my dope and not, well, I was about to say not get caught, but I always got caught. So, but, you know.
Can I say something? I just was on my mind here, just a thought. You go back to that place because you never had that family, and that was your family.
That was.
Yep.
That was my family. And it's crazy because over the years, a lot of them are dead. And then, like, the other ones, you realize you don't even know nothing about them. Or, like, they just become associates because it's like, damn, I don't even think we had a comment. I didn't even like Homeboy. We just always picked in the same doorways and kept eyes for each other, you know?
Right.
But you know what? That's like real family too.
It is like
it is really.
It's true, you know. But then I ended up getting this job, right? So one time I got out of a technicality. They arrested me. And I don't know if it's the same everywhere, but in Oregon, you have 14 days to be sanctioned. Right? So they had 14 days to do it. They brought me in on like day 10. And all the paperwork was missing. And the judge is like, I don't even know what you've been arrested for. And I was like, well, I got arrested for meth and it's a probation violation. And he's like, okay, but still they don't have their paperwork in. Let's bring you back. I'm going to give them another day or so to get it together. And because they didn't even have any of the paperwork filed out, like even the police or the sheriffs inside the jail, nothing was in on me or why I've been arrested. And so, like, with that being said, I came back like 2 days later. At this point, the judge is fed up because the paperwork's still not turned in. And he's called them. They said they were going to turn it in. And so he brings me back on my 14th day. They have to sanction me. If not, they have to let me go. It's under law, right? And so on the 14th day, they finally get the paperwork, and it's all filled out wrong. It's filled out wrong. No one's there to represent like the probation office under my case. And the judge is like, man, I'm tired of this. And my lawyer comes up to me beforehand and he's like, hey, they're going to let you go today. And I was like, okay, like, you know, I'm supposed to be doing a sentence. Like, all right, like, this is what I was hoping for. And so the judge is like, if you get out, you know, will you do me a favor? He's like, you're here because of drugs. I was like, yeah. He's like, will you go sign up for outpatient treatment? And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. No problem. So I get out. First thing I do is I go check in. My probation officer's not in the office, which is probably why all the paperwork didn't get filled out, right? He was on vacation.
Right.
I check in. I do what I'm supposed to do. I go get hooked up with outpatient like the same day, like sign paperwork, do all this stuff. I think I'm doing good. Well, a couple days later, might even been like a week, I remember getting a call. My probation officer's like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be in rehab. And I was like, the judge said I could do outpatient. And he's like, no, he orders you to do inpatient. And I was like, I got the paperwork right here. 1 second, let me grab it. And I'm literally reading it out loud. And he's like, you know what? I don't care what he said. If you don't do inpatient, I'm going to have you arrested for probation violation. Wow. And so like I go to do it. And my probation officer got mad because I graduated early. It's supposed to be a 3-month program, but I knew how to work the system. I went in there. I did all my work. I kept bugging the crap out of my counselor. Knock on his thing. I'm like, you got any pamphlets or any step work I can do? He would give it to me, think he's pushing me off for a week. And then the very next morning, knocking on his office, you have any more work I could do? Because while everybody's hanging out and like doing their stuff, all I did was do all the work. So the counselor got so tired of me. He graduated me after a month.
Oh my gosh.
Being there, and I remember the first day out, my probation officer calls, and he's like, what are you doing? He's like, go back to rehab. And I was like, no, I finished. And he's like, you got to go back or I'm going to arrest you. And I was like, check it out, like, talk with my counselor. And so I ended up having a little clean time, right? I ended up getting about 10 months clean time. I started getting a job. Thank you. I got a job around like 4 or 5 months at this call center. Never had a job before, right? And I'm working at this call center, and it's funny because in the interview process, he's like, do you have any sales experience? Right. And I told him, and I did. Hey, I said, actually, I do. I used to sell dope, you know, and he laughed. And I was like, no, for real. I was like, if you flip to the next page, my criminal history is right there. You know what I'm saying? I was like, that's the proof that I have sales experience. And he ended up hiring me. He thought he was like, it's a very odd move, but it's quirky and I'm willing to take a chance, you know? So he hired me, and like, I ended up getting moved up fast. I became like a manager, ended up, you know, there's like 100 people in the office. I'm like taking care of pods. I'm like very high up, right? And it's crazy because they put me on salary. I'm sitting there coming into work. First job ever in suits and tie in this like nice penthouse business suite up downtown Portland, Oregon, in this bank building. I'm doing good, right? They're flying me out places to like get awards and stuff because we have all these brothers and sister companies, and my numbers are through the roof for like my position. So I'm like winning all these awards and all this different stuff. But after about 10 months of sobriety, you know, I wasn't really in recovery. I just kind of did the steps, but I wasn't using or drinking anything. And I told myself, because like, what do people do after work? They go out and they have a cold one. Hey, it's a long day. You want to go throw a couple shots back, right? You know? It's socially acceptable. It's on promotions. It's on buses. It's on billboards, commercials. And I thought to myself, I'm not an alcoholic. I could go have a drink. I'm addicted to meth. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, life is going pretty well. Look at me. I'm in a business suit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so I went to go have drinks, and that quickly spun out of control through like a 2-3 year process. And it's crazy because I lost myself pretty quickly. I became big headed. You know, everybody loved me because I was the boss. Everybody was brown nosing me, trying to get like PTO. Everybody's trying to win like extra rewards or spiff money, all this type of stuff, right? Everybody, you come in, everybody tells you look good and all this stuff because that's what you tell the boss, right? And so,
so now, just real quick, now you're getting that acceptance again.
Yeah.
So then the whole cycle starts again. I'm just guessing.
But it is. And that's what I was leading to, is those abandonment issues. I became big-headed. Yeah. I thought I was big honcho. I thought I was on top of the earth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're making it now.
Yeah. And so I'm walking around. I'm 24 years old. I think I'm this hot shot. You know what I'm saying? And I'm drinking all the time. I'm starting to get drunk like in the morning and like coming in or going to lunch and having some shots. So not only am I like drinking at work, I got my little shooters in my pocket. I'm throwing them back. You know, but on top of that, like
are you drinking vodka? How are you getting away with it?
Yeah.
No one said anything to me. Eventually HR did. But what are people like under me going to say something? And plus everybody, like not everybody, but quite a bit of people were drinking as well. You know what I'm saying?
And they were making money, having fun.
You making money, killing it. You know what I'm saying? At this point, like in 4 years of working there, I never missed a day of work. I was always on time. I was always early. I did all my work. I had phenomenal numbers. All my employees absolutely love me. You know, so that's the thing. It's like, this is the golden child. He's messing up. Right. The production's good. You know, also like all the other managers are doing it, so you got to stop them. You know what I'm saying? And so like, you know, with that being said, I found out very quickly that I'm an alcoholic as well. And the reason for that, it was not because I was spending all my money at the bar, not because I was staying out at 1 or 2 or 12 trying to catch the last bus back or catch like a taxi. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure who was around back then. But like catching a taxi to get home, blacked out, wondering how I got home, all this different stuff like that. But like the morals and principles that I stand on as a man in recovery today, with no substances clouding my mind, were completely out the window. You know what I'm saying? I had a good girlfriend at the time that was very good to me, loyal. We actually got clean together. And I was unfaithful. I was sleeping around the office. I was sleeping with all the girls in the office, all this different stuff like that, you know. And then for good reasons, the girlfriend ended up leaving me when she kind of caught wind, you know. And so here's the thing, and where it breaks down to is I didn't get clean I didn't get clean for myself. There was no accountability. I got clean for the girl I was dating at the time. And the reason for that is I remember I've never tried recovery before. I've never tried to be clean. The very first time I actually like gave it real effort, and that was my thoughts on the outside. I went to treatment, I got out, I got this job, and I was like, yo, this is easy. You just don't do it, right? And so, mind you, I'm like full-blown alcoholic at this point. And so I'm sitting there, and as soon as she left, like she was addicted to heroin, and her family had money. Like we sent her to Hawaii, all these like top-notch treatment centers. We could never get her clean. And so I was like, I will never risk her because it meant a lot when her parents said that. I don't know why the impact it did. And so I tried to stay clean. We were both drinking, but we weren't using drugs. You know?
I know why. I know why.
Go ahead.
Because those parents were the parents that you didn't have, and it was an acceptance.
Probably,
and so you were like the older brother now.
Yeah.
Even though it was your girl, you were saying, "I'll take care of this."
Yeah, I wanted to make them proud.
You guys want it to be taken care of.
Absolutely.
You loved her.
Yeah, absolutely, and I wanted to make her proud. You know, so when she left, as she should have, right? I started doing what was going around the office. It's a sales job, right? You got white people in suits. What do you think's going around the office? Cocaine.
Cocaine.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like, you know, I told myself, well, I can do cocaine. I'm not addicted to cocaine. I'm a meth addict.
Yep.
And so all these excuses, right? Because I labeled my addiction in a box. And like, you know, although my life is falling apart, like I'm still very successful at work, or at least I think I am in my mind. So it's like the choices that I made or made exceptions for haven't necessarily ruined my life all the way. So like I'm still successful in my mind, and I'm not on meth. This is the longest I've ever not been arrested. you know? And so like I'm sitting there, I start doing cocaine, and I told myself I could do cocaine because I'm addicted to meth. Well, it turns out even if I could handle the cocaine, I couldn't afford it for very long. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I'm talking those abandonment issues. I was showing up to parties. You know, usually when you sneak off to do cocaine at parties, you pull in like 2 or 3 of your buddies, right? I was pulling in 20, 30 people in the room. You know, 15 people like, let's go do cocaine. Like we're busting out on the table. Like, you want a line? You want a line? Like, you know, the type of like rotation that takes like an hour to get back to you.
You were like the Oprah of cocaine.
I was like, everybody get a line. Yeah.
It's like, I can't pay for all this stuff.
And that's the thing, is I ended up broke within like a week or two.
Yeah,
I'm talking about all my savings, everything. I'm talking about so broke, but I did that because of my abandonment issues. I wanted to be the man.
You wanted, and
instead, I was just a trick for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we out. I'm like, call homeboy over, you know, hand him this money. I'm transferring money from savings into bookings. I'm pulling out this money. People are running with my ATM card to go get more money, as long as the party's still going, you know?
Yeah.
That only lasted like probably 2 weeks tops. And I remember getting paid on a Friday after work, or a Monday, right? Getting paid a Monday after work. And by the time it was Tuesday morning, I'm heading out to the bus looking for change in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? So I could catch the bus. The accounts are drained, and I just got paid 9 hours ago. I'm talking bonuses, everything out the window, up my nose.
You're living paycheck to paycheck at this point.
Not even.
I was
one day. Yeah. He's not even paying his bills.
I'm going back and looking through the dirty laundry, the dirty hamper for jeans I wore like 2 days ago to see if I could find any quarters to catch this bus for work, right?
Oh my gosh.
So at this point, I'm broke. I'm realizing I can't afford Coke. So I told myself, I'm starting to like to get high. Obviously, I'm an upper guy. You know what I'm saying? What can I do? And I was like, well, I could buy some meth. I don't have to share with nobody. I could spend $40 and be good for the week. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Fast forward a little bit, smoking. I started out with the snorting on the meth, turned back into smoking. I didn't want to smoke. I wanted to go back to shooting. My life completely fell apart. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I ended up this last time, you know, I got demoted. I'm back on minimum wage. It was extremely humbling. I'm sitting next to Bob. Bob just started yesterday, and he has just as much authority as me. You know what I'm saying? Wow. It was embarrassing. My feelings were hurt. You strip that away, and now I'm on minimum wage. So now I go back to selling dope. You know what I'm saying? I got to make this money. And so I ended up going to prison, man. And prison was the best thing that could ever happen to me. It gave me...
Up until now, it was county lockup, right?
Up until now, yeah, I've never been to prison. It was just county.
Yeah, okay.
And so it was my first time in prison. So I had, you know, it was only 24 months, but 24 months of clean time. Like to get my brain repairing and firing off on all cylinders. Mind you, I've basically been smoking since like 11, 12 years old consistently. Right?
Right, it's all you know.
And so it's like, you know, I'm basically a young kid. I'm basically a 9-year-old that before the drugs came in, like I'm still mentally underdeveloped, everything.
That's what they say in rehab. Like if you stop at 24 years old and you get clean at 40-something years old, you're basically a 20-year-old again.
And that's what it was. You know. And so like being in prison was the best thing that could ever happen to me. It truly was. It gave me enough time to get my life together and think about my life, man. And that's what my logo stands for, the microphone with wings. It goes back to that conversation. I had a conversation with myself. A lot of thinking, man, a lot of thinking. I got to sit with myself and realize, you know, I was a bit of a bully. I wasn't nice. I was doing a lot of things for attention, but I was acting outside of my character. It didn't make me feel good, and that's not who I wanted to be moving forward. And so I had this conversation with myself when I was in prison. And I asked myself, what do I want to do with my life? And it was a very quick and easy answer. It was music. It was the only light that has shined in the darkness. Even when I was getting high, even when I was locked up and wanting to get out and get high, I was thinking, I miss music. I want to do that again.
What was your original love when you were a kid?
Absolutely. Since 9 years old, I knew I wanted to do it. Been doing it for so
That's
long.
what got me through it. Is music.
Absolutely. And so I'm sitting there, and I asked myself, what's my best chance at doing music? At this point, I'm 27. I get out November 30th, 2018. I turned 28 on November 28th, 2018. So 2 days after my birthday, I'm going to be getting out. And I thought to myself, music, especially rap, is a young man's game. I get in, it could be 5-7 years. When am I going to get out? And it's just like, I got to get it together now. And so I started thinking, the only thing that I've never done with my music before is I've never done it clean. I've always used substances when I've done my music. And so I was like, this has to be my best chance. If I'm really going to do it, no cutting corners, no taking shortcuts. I got to give it 100% effort. And so I got clean and sober for music. I didn't get clean to be in recovery. I thought recovery was corny. I didn't want to be like those people. I thought it was cliche. I sure as heck wasn't about to go to a meeting, because that was a punishment. You didn't go to a meeting and get your slip signed, you going to jail. So I from very early on developed a hate for authority and, having to go to meetings. That was a punishment. It was a chore, And so I told myself, okay, I'm not doing it to be in recovery. I'm doing it for my best chance at music. And that's what got me clean. Nowadays, I stay in recovery and choose recovery because everything that I ever wanted in life has come true. And I have obtained these things, and I refuse to budge on these things, right? So because of my recovery, I'm able to keep what I obtained. And therefore, music found me recovery, and recovery gave me a second chance at life. And that is why my logo is a microphone with wings. Because music is my guardian angel. It gave me that second chance. It gave me recovery. And therefore, it's always kind of like my bat symbol that converts back to that conversation I had in prison. Mind you, I'm doing it for myself this time, for once. I'm doing it for that 9-year-old boy that first heard Eminem that had these dreams. That kid was robbed of his dreams to alcohol and drug abuse. I owe that kid a real shot at life. You know what I'm saying? The dope game's always going to be there. I'm an addict. I would love to get high. I would love to do a shot of dope. I don't do it because I know it ruins my life. And I got to understand that I'm always going to want to do a shot of dope. That's what I love. I would love to have a margarita when we're in Mexico on the beach. But I can't because I still have work to do. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I take it day by day. I don't tell myself, because I find myself thinking when I'm 60 or 70 and I work out and I have financial freedom and I got business plans set in place and I'm retired. I would love to sail around or be on a yacht if that's where life comes to and have my drinks. But I'm like, that's the addict speaking in me, right? And so I tell myself, take it day by day. We'll approach that when that time comes. But for now and today, I will choose to be in recovery and walk substance free. And so,
good for you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And so I made that commitment to myself. And after getting out, man, I hit the ground running. I have vision boards on the back of my door right now. I live by vision boards. And, I got out at a halfway house because I had nowhere to go. It was downtown Portland, Oregon at the shoreline, part of the Central City Concern. But it's literally down on Burnside at the bottom of the bridge, First and Burnside. I could be underneath the Burnside Bridge 30 minutes or probably about 30 seconds from walking out the building's door. You know what I'm saying? This is my stomping ground. I've literally been arrested right in front of this building before, And so it's I'm back in there. I'm back in the pit. I'm back in the fire. But this time I got a different mind frame. Nothing will get in the way of my dreams. Nothing is going to cause me to do anything that I'm not supposed to be doing, man. I stayed out of trouble the whole time in prison. Because if I stayed out of trouble, I qualified for a program, plus I'd get my good time. That would get me out about 6 months early. As corny as was, I was goody two-shoe in there because those 6 months meant something to me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to lose that. I wanted out of here right now. And so, I played by the rules. I worked the program when I was in there. I signed up for a voluntary treatment center program that you do 3 months on when you get to your gate, 3 months when you get outside the gate, but it qualifies you for a thing called TransLead. Also, they help you get housing when you get out. which was the Shoreline building, right? And so I get out, man. I'm surrounded by vision boards. It's basically a jail cell studio apartment, but you could come and go as you want to the free world. On top of that, you got like a stove in there and stuff like that, so you could cook.
So it's like a halfway house.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was, except for there's like 40 rooms on each floor. It's like 8 floors. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got like little 6-month lease agreements. As long as you stay substance free, you got to sign a lease that you weigh you random times. You get your own key. You sign in and out.
I'm sure they drug test you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they do. And so I remember December 5th, 2018. I had a reservation, and that reservation was, when I get out, I'm gonna go have me one drink. I knew what my drink was, and I'm gonna have me a cigar. Right? I became a man. I got out of prison. This is the rite of passage. I'm gonna have me AMF, and I'm about to have me a cigar. I'm about to sit back there. I'm about to chug it, and I'm about to puff away on the cigar. And so, like, I didn't know when I was gonna do it, but on December 5th, my buddy contacted me. I end up having, when I transferred from jail to prison, I end up having to leave all these notebooks behind that I wrote music in. And the cop was trying to throw it away, said I couldn't take it. Right?
Oh, wow.
And so he was trying to throw it away, but this dude I knew in there, he's like, I'll hold it for you, homeboy. I'll give it to you when I get out. And I was like, I don't even know you like that. Like, we hung out a few times, but whatever. It's better than being thrown away. Well, when I got out, he saw I got out and he messaged me on December 5th. And he's like, I got all your notebooks. And I was like, for real? I was like, let's meet up. And he said, come to the Red Apple. It's a bar. And I said, is that a bar? He said, yeah. And I was like, yep, I'll be right there, you know? So I went and had that drink, but it sits with me because remember that whole conversation that I told you, no shortcuts, no corners, 100% effort? Okay, so I had my one drink and I left the bar. And I'm riding back. I'm on public transportation. I got my headphones in. I'm listening to some good music. I'm feeling good. You know, when you get like that first drink, your face gets a little numb and you start feeling your lips and you're like, ooh, I'm buzzing a little bit. I'm feeling good. Yeah. I'm amped up. You know what I'm saying? I'm listening to music. I'm head bobbing. I'm excited. I only been out of prison November 30th to December 5th.
And you got your notebooks back.
And I got my notebooks, right? I'm living on a high, right? I got housing. And I thought to myself, and I was like, man, I'm kind of toasty off this one drink. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I wonder how, if I get caught, I'm going to lose my housing. And I was like, I got it. I was like, if they're at the front desk, I'm just going to smoke a cigarette until they use the bathroom or turn around. And then I'll just walk up the stairs. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to sneak in. And I thought to myself, that's what triggered the alarm in my head. Wait a second. Sneaking in means doing something I'm not supposed to be doing. And I held myself accountable back to that conversation because that conversation was all internal. I wasn't telling friends to try to show off or seek approval. That was an honest conversation with myself. And therefore, I was like, yo, I'm about to lose everything. Like, and I've only been out a week.
Before you were doing the cocaine, when you were doing the drinking, after you were doing, it goes back to that because it's like, it's a problem.
It is.
It's still a problem. Even that one drink was a problem.
Yeah. It was. And it made me internalize everything, man. I realized that I was lying to myself inside that prison. I was like, man, those are things. I really got to get this together. I played the tape forward. I know how this turns out. And my clean date is December 6th, 2018. I got over 6 years of recovery.
Dude,
proud of you. That's awesome.
Yes.
Thank you, man. And I ended up meeting my fiance. Let's go!
We always do a golf clap.
Let's do it. I met my fiance, man, and we met on a diner, 6 and Anarchy, right downtown Portland, Oregon. Half a block away from Burnside, right? And I go in there and somebody hooked us up together. They're like, oh, she's a singer. You're a rapper. You guys should meet, right? And so we ended up talking, and it's crazy because most people's goals when they get out is the first thing on their mind is they're trying to get some action, right? You've been locked up, right? That's don't matter if you're male, female, like that's on most people's mind, right? And so like I told myself, stay focused. That's not what we're doing. Those were my serious goals. When I get out, I'm not worrying about any of that. Chase your dreams. And so
you gotta be like a boxer.
Yeah.
You don't do that before a fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. So we met at this diner, man. And when she came in, I remember she came in and we sat down from across from each other. And she was totally surprised because I had a notebook on her side, a notebook on my side, 2 pens. And we talked as strangers and quickly became friends. I bought her dinner. And we talked about our dreams and our goals. And we talked about what we want to do. And we're like, well, what if we make a song together? And I was like, well, we threw out a couple ideas, like we could do a couple songs. Then we're joking. We're like, what if we did like an album together? Like, I was like, we could probably find some shows and things like that. But it's crazy because I was like, tell me about yourself. And she's like, I'm classically trained, studied music in Italy for a year, music theory, background in opera, sings in multiple different languages, French, Italian, like knows German, all this stuff like this, right? And she's like, what about you? And I was like, I'm a rapper. I just got out of prison. You know what I'm saying? And so,
2 different words.
Man, and it's crazy because, like, fast forward today, man, like, we travel the world with this music together. We met as 2 strangers. Like, we did everything. We released multiple albums, toured the country constantly. Last year, we did 86 stops on our tour, our Road to Recovery tour that we started ourselves. You know what I mean?
Wow.
She's not
was she an addict?
No, she's a normie. She's a normie. Like she's the type, she could have a glass of wine out at dinner if we're at a restaurant or like, and she doesn't even finish it sometimes. It blows my mind. We'll be at home watching a movie, eating dinner. I'll have a soda if I feel like turning up, a nice root beer, a Bargs or mugs, and she will have a cider. And at the end of the night, when I'm cleaning up the cans, the dishes, and the plates, she still has half a cider left. And I'm like, you want this? She's like, oh, no, you could toss it out. And I'm like, there's no way. There's no way.
Not back in the day when you were drinking.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what that was called, a waste.
Exactly. Like, she drinks for taste. I drink to get messed up. It blows my mind. Yeah. Like, I'm literally dumping out these cans and I'm dumping out half her cider. And I'm like, you're crazy. Your mind is wired differently.
You know what's funny is I can remember people telling me they'd never had a drink before, right?
That's great.
And it blew my mind. Yeah. Like, what you're talking about, I'm like, I don't get it. And like, where we grew up, it was a smaller area, so it was a rite of passage. Everyone did it, right? So to find those people that didn't do it, you're like, huh?
How do you live?
And then as I've been sober for 15 years.
Yeah. I
get it now. Like, I couldn't imagine wanting that anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want that anymore because, and I can see why they were like, "What doesn't bother? I don't miss anything that I don't have." But that I've never had. But I can see how their life could be that way. And you say a normie, like having just a drink. Right. I mean, like I tell people because people would say, I had a friend one time. And he knew that I had found Christ too. And he was like, you a preacher now, Rogers? I said, I'm not a preacher, man. I said, I just believe Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. And I said, and I don't drink anymore. That's the difference. Yeah. And so people don't know how to act about that. But it was like, no, I mean, I'm the same person. It's just, I can't do those things. Right. And I tell people, I wish I could be that person that's like, oh, let's sit out on the porch and have a beer and talk about old times. That's not me. Yeah. So I get it.
It sure would be nice to do that. It sure would.
And some people are just afraid to take that first drink. It might be in their family and they're afraid to set off that reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm a drinker. I like to abuse drugs. It don't matter what it is. I like to get as high and as drunk as possible.
Yes. Can I ask you something too? This just because I have it and I see it usually. Mm-hmm. Do you have have you ever been diagnosed with like ADHD or ADD or
ADHD?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Because every little thing that you said, like the hyper focus.
Yeah.
Like you're like I had this job at a call center, and call centers, I worked at a call center. They're horrible, by the way. I worked at one downtown Pittsburgh. I was like, I don't like this, but I'm like, that was when I was in school, but I ended up becoming a sales guy and like my whole life. But yeah, so, and every little thing that you said, I was just like, ding, ding, the boxes were checked.
Yes.
Because I'm like, he hyper-focused and climbed all the way up that ladder. Yeah. He hyper-focused and was like, I'm getting cars and backpacks and this and that. And people were taking the headphones out. And it's like, because I hyper-focused on this one thing. Yeah. And the rest of it really didn't matter because... And then there were days probably where you're like, I don't even want to do this. Yeah. But then it hit again. So I figured.
There's highs and lows. And I've learned about that too, because he has it too. Mm-hmm. And then when he had it, we started talking and hanging out. He's like, how about you have to have it too? I'm like, I don't know, because I've only been sober for 1 year and 7 months. Yeah. And I have it as well, because we both hyper-focus on everything about this podcast. Yeah. You know,
it happened.
And I've been checking off boxes for you too. Just like Ryan said, I was like, he has to have a little bit of ADHD too.
I do. And you know, it helps a lot, but also sometimes I hyper focus on like problems or things that are like, like, no, I need a solution. I need to know now. Like, you know, so I
need to fix it now.
Do it or try to figure things out or try to fix the problem. And it's just like being patient isn't really my thing, even though.
Not either.
You know, I realized I had to be patient for the results. And, you know, me and my lady, we started a thing. We've done plenty of tours. I mean, like, I've rocked arenas with, like, I've opened up for, like, Kevin Gates, Spokane Arena, different things like that. I've toured with big-name artists. But the most special thing is we started a thing called the Road to Recovery Tour.
I've seen that.
Yes. And what that is the very first year, we spent about $30,000 of our own money. We had about $3,000 in sponsorship from an organization. Absolutely loved them. You know, but with that being said, we spent so much of our own money, man. And we're trying to figure out, because once as a kid, I rapped what you heard on the radio. Okay?
Right.
I rapped about, you know, sex, material items, tough guy, pistol packing, all this different stuff like that, right? That's what I rapped about. And it's crazy because at the time I wasn't living that life. I never experienced that life. I'm some kid going to school. You know what I'm saying? Little middle school, high school and stuff, talking about Lamborghinis and sex in the back of the club and like all this stuff like that. And it's like, you know, I never lived that stuff. But once I actually lived some real life experience, like real drug addiction and actually selling weight and doing all this different stuff like that, right? Once I found recovery and, you know, really getting back to the music, everything changed. Everything changed. My content, what I was about. You know, I no longer rapped about that stuff. I was like, now that I live that life, I don't want to rap about it, right?
Right. It makes sense.
And now
because you don't want to project that for other people.
Yeah.
Because I've seen what real addiction does. I've seen both sides. You know what I'm saying? I was a dope dealer. I was the addict. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I did my time for dope dealing, and I've also lived you mix my dope up with puddle water and shooting it up on the sidewalks and sleeping under bridges and living in and out of shelters and like, you know what I'm saying? Ended up getting Hep C, all this different stuff like this. Like, I know addiction. Like, I've seen friends overdose and die. Like, I've seen all this and how it affects families. And I was like, that ain't cool. I don't want to rap about that. And getting in recovery, you know, and getting in recovery, like, I'm not a tough guy. I'm not tough. I don't like fighting. I don't like picking fights. I'm definitely never been a gang member. Like, I don't like guns. I never liked guns, even when I was out there selling dope. Like, so I'm not going to put on a front and I'm not going to rap about drugs. Like, you know what I'm saying? In a positive way. So my whole content changed. And so with this tour, I was like, the messages and everything started flooding in. And I was like, wow, they actually hear me. I'm figuring out who my real target audience is. You know what I'm saying? When you start rapping and you talk about, I'm afraid, I'm scared, like I make mistakes, I'm not perfect, I had a drug addiction, all this different stuff like this, I was surprised by how many people raised their hand and said, I could relate. You're talking about my story. Your story is my story, and my story is your story. You know, so I started thinking, like, from a music and like marketing aspect, where can I go where my music will be most appreciated? Instead of, you know, being in Portland where there's thousands and thousands of artists fighting for the same little bar show with 20 people show up, and like where it ain't doing anything for no one's career. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can I get out of that and do something on my own that where I'm going to be appreciated? And so I started calling treatment centers. I called anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 treatment centers around the country. I got.
See, your call center stuff came back to you.
Yeah, I was just cold calling. They picked up. I started pitching them. About a minute and a half in their pitch, they're like, "Oh, I'm just reception. I'll get you to the right person." I'm like, "Cool."
No, it's real.
You know what I'm saying? Like, right person picks up, and now I'm pitching them. So like, I ended up.
I often say that I'm selling me now instead of selling what I was doing before.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's easier. So it's easier because I know my story.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, there might be some times when there's some self-loathing, but you love yourself. You're like, I can do this.
Yeah. You put in the work. You're sober, man. Like this is you.
And that's where I found to love myself is in recovery. I found out I have worth. I'm damaged, but I still have a lot to offer. And I sit with the uncomfortableness nowadays instead of trying to cover it up with drugs and alcohol and feeling blockers. You know what I'm saying?
I learned the same thing.
You have to. I figured out what my character defects are and how to stop them from becoming my shortcomings.
Exactly.
And so, like, I called these centers. I got 28 yeses, and that is how the Road to Recovery tour was born. We're getting ready to head out on our 4th year. The very first year, man, like I told you, we put tens of thousands of our own money up. Right. I did really good with merch sales. Like we were packing out, pulling 10 to 16,000 from. We kept breaking attendance records at these clubs in Portland, 1823 Mystery over there, and we would pull it up. We would literally pull up. Me and my lady would pull up with U-Hauls with already sold merch, lines wrapped around the building, coming out because I do sales. That's what I do, except for I'm selling myself.
Right.
But we wanted to get out of that because we kind of plateaued. Where do you take it from there? And I didn't think I was at the point where I could pack out 2,000-3,000 people at like a theater. You know what I'm saying? Or 800 people. Right. And so like, I was like, where do I go? Like the money's nice making, 10,000 a show, all this different stuff like that, just off of merch or pre-sales. But it was like, I want to go where I could actually grow my audience. And so we started getting into these treatment centers, man. And the very first tour, we did about 90% and 95% of those shows were free. Like we bought our tour van, we're traveling around. Like we were traveling to South Dakota, North Dakota, Detroit, Chicago, like all these cities around the country on free shows. Sleeping in the van, get a gym membership, you take a shower at your local gym. You know what I'm saying? Whoever's in the city, head to the next city. All completely free. The only way I can get into these treatment centers is they're like, we're not paying for this or we don't have funds because I haven't established myself. There's no resume. There's no nothing to show like, well, actually show up. I'm just a random scammer on the phone, it sounds like, and they would always tell me, sure, if you want to show up. I'd call them a day before, like, hey, I'm about 12 hours out. I'll be in your city tomorrow. And they're like, okay. What time again? Because they wrote me off. I didn't think I would show up. I've had people like, I didn't think you were actually going to show. Okay, well, let me move some of the programming around so we could be ready for you tomorrow. But we did that tour. And the next tour, then about 50% of the shows were paid for. And nowadays, like we get our asking price almost no question. You know what I'm saying? And it's like this year we're looking at 100 shows around the country on this tour. It's me and my lady. We get into treatments, rehabs, jails, and prisons around the country. We even headline sober festivals around the country. And it's crazy because like what we have built, we have made newspapers around the country, so many blogs, all this stuff like that. It's like, we have tons of sponsors that sponsor the tour. And it's like, it started with a dream and a cold call. This tour right here. And now it's like, this is our 4th year. Like we have quite the resume. Like I don't even make calls no more. Like a lot of our shows are 3rd year, 4th year bookings because we come up, we deliver, they love us. Right. Also when we show up on tour, we give everybody free t-shirt. Resource fairs and festivals are different because there's so many people. But if we show up to a treatment center, everybody gets a free shirt there. Everybody gets like a free signed poster with QR codes for music, downloads. You know what I'm saying? We make sure every client there has something to leave with them. So if they felt inspired, And I go there and I speak for about an hour, and then me and my lady perform. We travel, we bring all our tour equipment, all our sound equipment, we set up, we tear down, we do all this stuff ourselves. But like nowadays, bro, we don't make calls anymore. Like I'll do calls and follow-ups, but I don't cold call. Like literally, we have so many treatment centers booking us, so many people. Like this year we got bunch of bookings in Texas, Massachusetts, Connecticut. Like we're all over the country. We got Colorado, Arizona, where Idaho, Montana, Washington, Oregon. Like all these states are trying to get us in. And so nowadays they just contact me, through word of mouth. And so like if anybody's watching this, guys, and you guys have a dream, go where your audience is. Go where you are loved, accepted, and valued. Also, always remember to be yourself.
Yes.
One thing I learned, man, is you don't have to be the best in the room. You just have to be willing to outwork the person next to you. And that's what I did. Because I'm far from a naturally talented artist. We talked about it before we went live. I didn't find success till like 18, 19 years into this music game. I couldn't rap on beat until I met my fiance. Mind you, 19, 18 years into the game, couldn't rap on beat until my fiance.
Well, because you did music.
Yeah.
You didn't know. You were just doing it. You had no clue about music.
I was doing it for the love.
And
She was a professional artist, and she came in and she's like, "You're not on beat." And I was like, "Yeah, I am. I'm between the claps." And she's like, Can I show you something? And I was like, sure, we're in the studio. And she starts cutting and moving, breaking my bars and my segments and phrases into each section and putting everything in pocket. And now, not only am I rapping on beat, but it sounds like I'm writing the beat. You know what I'm saying? And we did a tour with that album, the Spotlight album. We did about like 30-something shows with that album. And when I came back to the studio, my ear could hear it. I went to lay something down. I'm like, that sounds off. And I'm like, oh, wait, I'm not on beat. And I re-hit it. And I'm like, yo, that's crazy. And that's when we started getting hundreds of thousands of followers, tens of millions of plays. My life is flipped, man, but I owe it all to recovery, and I owe it to my fiance.
We have I hit the damn thing real quick.
No worries.
Hold on a second. There we go. Say something now.
Check.
All right, you're. All right, I think we're good still.
Okay, cool.
All right, yeah, that's. I was saying, I've been to rehab three times. I think 3 different rehabs.
Yeah,
and they're all the same.
Yeah,
it's the same format. You go to classes, which is good. You learn about yourself. And you have AA meetings you have to make in the evening, and it's like you're changing the dynamic of rehab. It's like if they would tell us like, hey, you would come in and do like an AA meeting, kind of like a speaker meeting, you know what I mean? And then you would do a show afterwards. It'd be insane.
It's
people
crazy.
would love that.
It's crazy, bro. Like, I never thought about how much it would change my life. I meet tens of thousands of addicts in early recovery, and it reminds me of the fear I had because when things start going good for a while, it's a distant memory. I mean, you remember the pain, you remember the struggles, but life is so good. Sometimes it's hard to feel the pain in real time.
Right?
So meeting these people. All these addicts like myself, but early on in recovery. And I get a chance, I talk with them, I chop it up with them, I ask them their stories. I want to hear from them. Like, I stay afterwards and meet people and sign autographs and like all this type of stuff like that. And like, I get a chance to remember what it was like to want to escape addiction, to remember what it was like to fail so many times, but giving it one last chance, hoping that it works. And so like, it keeps me clean. It does. Meet all these addicts around the country, man. It truly is a blessing. I never thought that I could help people and do music, right?
Right.
And the fact that I get to do it is absolutely incredible. Like, I've been doing it for years. I've been getting so many people into rehabs and so many resources and collecting stuff around the country. And like, I didn't work for a treatment center. I made music for a living, but I'm helping people in the right direction. And one thing I learned is you can't get people clean and sober, but one thing you can do is lead by example. And so that's what I strive to do.
Well, you know what? I mean, you're a perfect example for what this show is about, life after the party.
Yeah.
So it's showing people how good life can be.
Yeah.
After it's all over, right? Because it just begins then. So, I mean, like it's like you're the poster child, like for what we talk about too.
Yeah.
And the pay, like I was thinking throughout that thing and how you were making so much money before, and then it like you weren't getting paid for these shows at all, right? But you were getting paid. You were getting paid back tenfold for everyone that you helped. If it was one person that was like, there's hope there. There's hope. Like, I didn't think I had hope, but these people are like, I felt like I was hopeless. Yeah. But I look at Skylar and I'm like, I've got hope because he did this all on his own, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's hard doing this stuff on your own. I mean, it's hard enough picking something like this and being like, I'm going to do this and help people. And, you know, we all want to, all three of us want to help people. We all do. That's why we're doing this.
Absolutely.
But it's like, you know, we still have to live. We still have bills to pay, all this stuff. You have to be able to make something to live on, support your family, whatever it is. Yeah. And you went along and did this for free for rehabs is insane. And did it all yourself. Nobody to help you, just you and your girlfriend. That's hard to do.
I mean, we don't even travel with a DJ. We set up all our sound equipment. We have our tracks lined up. We do everything. We sound check.
That's hard.
And I didn't know anything about like sound equipment, and I still don't. But I know how to hook up my equipment. Like anybody else, I'm like, I don't know, bro. But I tell you how to hook up mine. You know.
Well, you should see us up here before. You know, we've been doing this since October, but we keep on.
Well, I think he's seen it twice.
So twice, baby. Come on now.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have anybody up here either. It's just me and Ryan, and we do what we can. Some things don't go right. We learn from it. We don't do anything easy up here.
And that's the thing, man. Is you got to figure it all out. Like, I hit the ground running, but it was because of my dedication. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not going to say no one didn't help me out along the way, but like, I put in the work. I worked when no one was looking. You know, I didn't do it for claps and acceptance. I did it for myself. Like redoing the same line on a song literally like 100, 200 times because I feel like I'm dragging something or not popping right on the beat. And then, you know, getting frustrated and come back doing another 100 times the next day. Like that perseverance got me through it. Consistently doing it. Now it's like I got brand deals. I got brand deals that literally pay me to do social media. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm getting paid salary and monthly checks, bi-weekly checks. Or I don't know what the phrase, but every 2 weeks I'm getting a check just to do me. And all they're asking me to do is build my brand. Right? And it goes hand in hand with what they're doing. And it's like, that alone, I could pay my bills off of just one of the brand deals. And it's like, but I worked my way. And then I was like, I'm getting music money, tour money, merch money, and we're doing it independent. Like me and my lady, we have our own printing shop. We print our own merch. My lady makes the design. Like I get all the packages ready. We drop them off at the post office ourselves. I mix and master all the music. Like we write our own stuff. We record our own stuff. We do our own music videos. I do all my booking. I am my PR. I do all my social media.
Wow.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you know what? But think about this. Think about the happiness you have now. I mean, that hustle that you had back when you were hustling, you know, under that bridge, hustling with everybody, right? That hustle now is what you're doing, but you're doing it for other people, your lady and you, and it's working, man.
It is.
This whole story is inspirational, and I mean, and we're ticking down to we went very long, but I love this story, and I think that what I would love to do, and I'm sure I'm speaking for both of us. That when you're starting on the next tours and you're starting to do the next things, I'd love to have you come back on and tell you what's going on, and maybe even do it from one of those tours. That's so awesome.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll figure something out, man. We'll figure something out. That's for sure. I'll be all over the country this year if I'm in your guys' area. Stopping in person. Yeah. Sure. If I'm within a couple hour driving range, I'll stop in your guys' in the studio do it. I would love to be able to
so great. Yeah, you get you up here.
I tell you what, dude, proud of you, love you for sure.
Love you too.
And I mean, we can talk. Believe me, I can talk forever.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good.
Thank you.
I mean, it's a great story. It's an inspirational story, and I mean, it's like that's just not lip service. I mean, your story is profound. Like I couldn't imagine your story, and so I am so proud of you for everything that you've done. Like everything, not just the music, just moving forward at all times.
Yeah.
I mean, because look. It's easy to say, poor me.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? And you know, like we were talking to a guy that was in the service, and I was talking about how cushy our lives are because look, he and I grew up in a way not like you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, you know, we know that stigma, it doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. But what you did, I mean, to just be proud is an understatement. It's just amazing.
I'm very proud.
Yeah,
you should be.
You know, one thing that I did was flip the perspective. Instead of saying poor me, I used it as fuel. Oh, you didn't do it? Watch me. I don't think I'm good enough. Like I struggle with confidence issues. When I get around talented artists, I shrink and I crumble. You know, because I still deal with self-doubt and think that I'm not worth it or thinking I'm not good enough.
I'll put my hand up.
Go ahead. You got something to say. Go ahead.
There's a lyric. There's a song right there.
Yeah, it is.
Now, I'm no rapper, but I went from poor me to watch me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Hey, let's go. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a journey, but I will, you know, I won't take too much longer. But one thing I did learn for anybody watching is, you know, to understand who you are as a person, to be able to flip that perspective. But you're looking at a kid, I guess, young man. It's so I always think of myself as a kid. I'm 34 years old.
You are a kid.
I'm a kid to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, I didn't find success at doing what I love for 18, 19 years. And so like, I will always be grateful if you guys are looking to reach out, if you guys are going with substance issues or anything like that, reach out to me, guys. I get hundreds of messages a day, but I still answer every single message that I see.
You answered ours. So that's you do.
I try to. So I will never take what I got and be ungrateful. I was a kid no one listened to. 18, 19 years in the game, 40,000 something plays. And now that like, I'm making a living out of it and I'm finding success, I will never forget where I come from. I will never be too good for anybody. I'm not better than anybody. I'm just blessed today to be in recovery and have a second chance at life.
Amen.
Amazing.
Amen.
And how can people reach you?
You could find me Skyler Ray on any single platform. There is an E, so SKYLER, and then Ray is RAY. Look me up, reach out to me, send me a message. I would love to hear your story. Flex some of your sober accomplishments. If you just got your kids back, if you just got that promotion, that first job, your first car, all those things, that's what keeps me clean. When I'm struggling, I hop on social media and I see all the other recovery warriors, and that's what gives me the motivation to keep going because I look at them and think, if they can do it, I can do it. So please flex on me all your accomplishments. I would love to cheer you on.
And I'll put all your links and everything in the description when we put this up. And that way people can just one click and get to you and find your music, find you, message you, whatever they want to do. You know what I mean? Your music's amazing.
Thank you.
I did listen to some of it at work the other day.
Let's go.
And you got a voice.
Thank you.
You got amazing lyrics. It's recovery based.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Thank you. I'm grateful, and thank you guys for inviting me on here. I'm honored.
No, believe me. I mean, we thank you. It's been the greatest thing about us doing this.
Yeah.
Besides, I mean, the most important thing is helping other people.
Absolutely.
But to hear stories from all these different walks of life, and how it it's just it's centered in on helping others. It helps us. It's just a wonderful thing, and it's a blessing, man, for real.
It's a
blessing. We're truly appreciative.
Of course. You know, and before I go, guys, if anybody's watching this and you're struggling, understand it don't matter how many times you fail, you are willing to pick yourself back up. Us as addicts are resilient. Understand your worth and be patient. We all want that nice car, that nice, good paying job, that house with the dog and the attractive significant other. But here's the thing, the people that have worked 5, 10, 20 years to be able to achieve that. Please keep your head up and understand you are loved, and reach out if you need to talk to somebody.
Amen, brother. That's an amazing message. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
That's incredible. All right. Well, this was another episode from Life After the Party. And thank you for watching.
Thank you to Skyler Ray for being our guest today. What an amazing man, guest.
Dude.
Look at that smile. Oh, my goodness.
Beautiful man. That's a beautiful man right there.
My man.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much, man.